Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about my favorite reverb plugin, the Valhalla Vintage Verb. When I started using this plugin, I had no idea what all these controls do, but hopefully at the end of this video, we'll understand more about these knobs and how to turn something like this into something like this. Let's get right into it. Alright. We can split the Valhalla Vintage Verb into 7 sections. Let's start with this section down here. The mode lets us choose from different reverb algorithms that each have a different characteristic to them. So you can just run through these and see what fits best for what you're doing right now. The color lets us choose from 3 different presets. 1970s, which is, I would say, a warmer tone of color. 1980s, which has a bit more high end, so a brighter reverb, yet still have that body, a bit of warmth in there. And the now, which I feel like is the coldest reverb, very bright and clean. And the presets allow you to scroll through presets made by Valhalla. Let's get to the first 3 knobs over here. The mix knob allows us to set a balance between our dry signal and the wet signal of the reverb. Meaning if we have the mix knob at a 0%, we'll only hear the dry signal. If we have it at 100%, we'll only hear the reverb signal. So let's put that at 70. The pre-delay allows us to determine the time lag between our original signal and when the reverb comes in. So at a 0, the reverb comes in straight away. But if we increase this value, you will hear the time lag between the initial signal and the reverb signal. The decay knob over here allows us to set how long it takes for the reverb to fade out. So a lower number here means the reverb fades out really quick. Whereas if we set this to, let's say, 10, you can hear it takes way longer for the reverb to fade. Now coming to the dampening module. The dampening module is split between high frequencies and low frequencies. The high shelf over here allows us to choose how much of the high frequencies we want to push out of the way, giving it a dampening effect. And the high frequency control over here is for us to determine which high frequencies we want to push out of the way. So let's give it a listen. It's dampened a bit. This also gives the perception that an instrument is further away compared to. You can hear if we don't dampen the sound sounds much brighter. Now coming to the bass frequencies. The bass multiplier over here allows us to determine how much longer or shorter bass frequencies ring out over other frequencies. So if we increase this bass multiplier, the bass frequencies will ring out 4 times longer than the other frequencies. If you give it a listen, you can still hear the bass frequencies. If we decrease this value, the bass frequencies faded out way before the high frequencies did. With the bass frequency knob over here, we can choose what frequencies we consider as bass frequencies. So what this essentially does is anything under this value is considered a bass frequency and therefore will ring out shorter or longer than all the other frequencies. The shape modulation. The shape modulation allows us to determine the size of our room. At 100%, the instrument will feel like it's in a bigger room. If we decrease this, the instrument seems nearer to us or in a smaller room. The attack knob over here lets us determine how quick the reverb comes in. So if we bring the attack knob to 0, the reverb comes in instantly. If we increase the attack knob to 100%, you'll hear the swell in reverb. With a higher percentage on the attack, we can create an illusion that the sound is further away from us. Now to the diffusion module. If we set both these parameters to 0, you'll hear that the reverb sounds a lot like an echo. So the early diffusion over here smoothens out the initial part of this echo, and the late smoothens out the later part of the echo. If we increase this, the early part sounds smoother. If we increase the late, the later part of the reverb sounds smoother. So you can blend these two knobs to create different textures and feelings to your reverb. The mod modulation over here is pretty much a chorus effect to give another sense of dimension to our reverb. If we decrease the depth, it means that we have less chorus effect in our reverb sound. And when we increase this, there will be more chorus effect. With the rate, what we can set now is the pitch fluctuations of the chorus. If the rate is lower, there will be a smoother fluctuation of the pitch shifts. If we increase the rate, we'll hear that it really fluctuates quickly. Lastly, we have the EQ modulation over here. What this does is it sets a high cut filter and a low cut filter at the end of your reverb. You can use this to bring down the brightness of your reverb, for example. If we don't have that on, you can hear it shimmer out a bit more in the high end. And the low cut, you can hear the sound is a bit thinner. What you can achieve with this is that you can clean up the reverb. In a mix, if you have too many tracks with reverb and all of them do not have a high cut or a low cut filter, it could muddy up the mix. Now to some tips and tricks. If you click on where it says mix, you can lock this parameter in place and scroll through different presets with the balance you have set before, which is pretty handy. If you feel like the now preset is a bit too bright on your eyes, you can click up here and it brings it into dark mode, which is a pretty cool feature, I'd say. So that's it for today. If you guys enjoyed the video and learned something new, hit the like button. If there are any other questions or plugins I should review, put it down in the comment section below. And to stay updated on my newest content, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. Peace.